So today I'm joined by Gordon Grahame, and the reason we've got Gordon here is because one of the themes that I want to explore with these series of interviews is transformation and personal transformation. So, hello Gordon.
Hi.
Hi. I think it would probably be a good place to start if you could sort of take us through a bit about your upbringing, particularly anything that you might think is sort of relevant to how your life was initially.
Well, I was born in Edinburgh, and then I moved not far outside of there. Grew up in a small town called Pennycook. I was not brought up in a particular. It was a very working class background. There was nothing arty or spiritual or anything like that, or bohemian. It was a very dry kind of upbringing. I probably felt all the time that I was missing out on something, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't really enjoy school. I didn't really enjoy growing up, to be honest. I didn't really have a good time at school. I got a lot of bullying and stuff like that through school. I wouldn't be able to answer. I wouldn't be able to say for sure why that was. Probably like a lot of people you might probably interview, feeling like an outsider, feeling like you're kind of, there's something else somewhere, but you can't put your finger on it. And I went into, when I left school, I went into the civil service for a bit, but I'd already got interested in music, and that just took over. So I'd say from late teens into my very early 20s, I went on a sort of trajectory of playing pubs, getting into a band, things like that, and thinking that's what I was going to be. That seemed to be where my talents lay. But a sort of spiritual yearning seemed to come in at the same time, seemed to collide with my worldly ambitions. And I'd say in brief actually that all through my life up till now, the spiritual was always in a sense hamstringing the part of me that could have been a lot more grounded and on it when it came to achieving my ambitions.
Do you think that you're saying there was a kind of a spiritual shaped hole in your life, so to speak? Do you think music was an attempt to fill that?
I think it definitely was, because as a songwriter I was always trying to bear myself. I was always drawn to the poetry side of songwriting, and always trying to express my feelings. I mean, I've always been accused of, you don't write choruses, you don't write proper songs, you don't write things that are popular enough, because I was always writing, even when I was doing much better, somebody was interviewing me, said something about my music is a bit esoteric, so it was kind of, and as time went on, it clearly for me became a vehicle to express spiritual notions, and I think the act of writing as well, writing in some way, has a way of bringing things out of yourself that are unexpected, that don't just come up normally.
So do you think music, as well as an attempt to write about spirituality or what we're here for, what's it all about, as well as writing about that, do you think it might be also a part of attempting to sort of reach that kind of like comfortable place that isn't there?
Well, we used to say in the last band, when we were writing and stuff, we could sometimes get quite fractious, because it's one of those situations where there wasn't much money on a record deal, and we were always wondering where it was going and stuff. And whenever we went and done some writing or some musical stuff, it instantly used to kind of soothe our moods, and I used to always say music's the healer, because every time we started focusing on the music, it did have that effect. Music is very unique in that sense. I mean, it's invisible. It's what is it? You can't buy things with it. You can't. It's just there. But there is something about it I mean, when I think back to being as a kid, when first, that big excitement of buying records and stuff like that, and I mean, I was absolutely carried away and carried off by the albums that I was buying, whatever they were at the time, and just, lying on my back in my bedroom, letting music transport me.
What sort of music?
Well, at first it would have been stuff like, I kind of rebelled against my parents' taste. My parents was stuff like, musicals, Gershwin, Sinatra, all that kind of stuff. Right, and I really, to be honest, that probably had more of an influence on me in later time. But I went straight into like heavy rock, heavy metal, punk, Stiff Little Fingers, AC/DC. All that kind of, that was the original thing, but I'm talking about as an adolescent.
Yes.
But that quickly went into me getting a job at 17, buying albums where I wanted to learn a bit about music. So I would just start buying. There was I think it was Our Price. That was the one round the corner on the high street. That used to buy. So you'd see like the Banana album by the Velvets, or Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, or It's Only Rock and Roll by the Stones. I just sort of sussed they were classics, so I'd buy them and just kind of learn through buying all these different records. My taste was always pretty eclectic. It was always, it would be a lot of Dylan, but it would Nina Simone, whatever. Classical. I was never that. But as a musician myself, I was very much the singer-songwriter type, the guy with the acoustic guitar.
And how long were you in Scotland for?
I was in Scotland. I was basically in Scotland till the end of my record deal. When my record deal, my first record deal ended, I was about 26. I was going through. I was just basically caning it all the time. I was always a pretty big drinker. I was smoking a lot of dope at that time, and the whole sort of crash in my record deal. When we got dropped, I was quite happy to go on. I had that attitude like, who cares about the record company? I'm going to plough on. But all the rats deserted the ship, and I kind of felt quite abandoned at that point. Everybody, even close friends, just was like they were gone, and I couldn't get arrested in Scotland. Immediately nobody wanted to give us gigs. It was like, they've been dropped. It was quite harsh, and I went into a catatonic depression. And that depression lasted 6 years. Not catatonic, but I had depression for 6 years. Right. And that actually was probably when everything introverted. I went really deep into myself with, I suppose you might say soul searching, whatever you want to call it. Looking deep. But sort of to answer your question, at that point as well, I went and lived abroad. It was like a kind of survival thing. Me and my girlfriend at the time. Took what we had, sold it, bought a camper van, went to Amsterdam 6 months, then Paris for a year, Spain for 6 months. So I was away for 2 years. I'd never really been abroad before. So we just lived hand to mouth for 2 years.
Yeah.
And
how do you earn money? Were you busking?
Busking at first in Amsterdam, busking. I made more money. Well, I mean, I probably made more money than I'm making now, actually, when I was busking. I made a fortune in Amsterdam, playing on the terraces, where people sit outside in the restaurants. You do 3 songs, and then she'd put her hat round, and it was a guilder back then, was the currency, so you'd make, 40 guilders, 40 times 40, that's 16 quid in 15 minutes. So it soon adds up when there's hundreds and hundreds of these places, and I just suddenly was like thinking, this is a money machine. Because me and my relationship with money has always been pretty sort of. I've never had any, basically. I've had moments of having money, but I've never been very good with it, and that was one of those times. Yeah, I made money that way. In Paris, I made money. There's a lot of Irish bars in Paris, because when they built Disneyland, basically, all the Irish came out, builders, and they built. So they brought in a lot of Irish pubs, and then there was the whole trendy thing with U2 and the Pogues and all that kind of stuff going on, and it made it popular with the French. And they just stayed there, and basically, as a Scotsman, I sort of seemed to sort of fit in there. So I made a bit of money playing Irish bars in Paris, and then came back after a couple of years, and eventually moved down to I'm trying to kind of, compress what I'm telling you, because there is so many things that went on. Because basically, we came back after 2 years. Not long after that, I think my girlfriend got pregnant with my first son. For some reason, I had a sort of kind of exorcism thing went on with me, with this healer, because of my depression had been going on for this whole period of time.
Literally.
An exorcism thing,
Literally
yeah.
An exorcism.
Yeah. I was speaking as a demon and all this kind of stuff. I would take me about half an hour to tell you that story, but basically, I wasn't aware that I'd come. There's so much to it. I'm trying to think of the time scale here, because I'd got into meditation as well when I came back.
Right.
I'd got into that for about a good couple of years, and I'd got really heavy with that. I mean, my meditation was just all about concentration and focus, and I was also keeping fit at the time, and I'd really turned myself around basically, and I still thought there's something not right. I felt like I'd done everything proactively to deal with the source of my depression, and I felt like it was still there. And then I kind of came intuitively to the decision that it was something, not just not just an imbalance or a spiritual ennui. I felt it was an actual distinct from me thing.
Possession.
Yeah, I thought it was something. I'd been into I'd been into the occult. I'd been into psychology. I'd been into like mysticism. I'd been into alchemy. I'd been into like everything you can possibly imagine. When I went to Amsterdam, I had like stacks of books, Jung, Crowley, everything going. Yeah. That was what I mean. That's what I mean by hamstringing myself with a music career, because you've got this sort of space cadet side of you, and I've got this other side of me that wants to kind of, wants to wants to be a hardcore, make the money, succeed in the band, but. I basically on a sort of so my girlfriend found a card in a shop somewhere about someone had done healing, and she went, "What about this? What do you think of this?" And I said, "Oh, I might give it a try." And I went to this guy, and I mean, the minute I walked in his house, I was under some kind of hypnotic trance. The minute I walked in his house, I was in a trance. The minute I opened the door, I was in a trance. And he started to basically ask me questions. Why am I here? What do I want? Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I'm alone in myself. And he says, people get into patterns. They get into negative patterns, cycles. He says it's highly unlikely that it's something of that order. Then after about 10 minutes, he went, "Yeah, I agree with you now. There is something here." And then within about half an hour, I was screaming, I was wailing, I was having this deliverance. I was talking as a demon with a strange voice. I had a name, Rahab. It was...
Amy Winehouse did a song about you. Sorry, that's a poor joke.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So that's
that's possibly not the right moment to be light-hearted though. That's kind of...
So that was quite... Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, was this healer's belief system, did that accommodate...
It was Heath Robinson, as we say in the building business. It was just a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this and a bit of that. He just brought in whatever I felt like. Because I'd been, during my meditation, it's funny talking about this now. During my meditation, I'd kind of I'd sometimes get a kind of sense of someone speaking in the silence occasionally. And this was, I'd heard a voice say, "Michael's waiting for you." And at the time, I thought it was Michael, a guy I'd been in a band with, because I was still stuck on this band thing. And I thought, "Oh, Mike, I'm going to get a band together with Mike, and I'm being told by the powers beyond that we're going to be famous." Then I started thinking, no, Michael, Angel Michael. If I've got something going on in me, some dark thing, I started picturing this thing. Michael's going to come. He's going to sort it out. And then when I was in this state with this guy, he said, "Do you need anything?" At some point, I was in this exorcism state, and he went, "Do you need anything?" I said, "I need a sword," and he went to me, "You need Michael." And I thought, "Yeah, I need Michael." I don't know where he got that from. It was bizarre. It was really, really bizarre. But after it, He sat me down. I was lying on my back. I was absolutely demolished. My ego had been smashed to smithereens, and I was just like, I was like a kind of, like a caveman. I just was like, it's hard to describe. And he said to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, he says, imagine a speedometer, like going 1 to 10. He says, where's the needle in your depression? I says, it's 0. It's gone. I just knew it was gone, and it was gone. After that, it was completely gone.
It really was.
It was gone. It's never come back. Never had it back, and I had it for 6 years.
So looking back, what do you think happened?
Well, you see, obviously I'm not going into the meat of the matter now. I mean, I'm a Christian now, and I've subsequently had greater experiences in that have superseded those. But what I would say is that at the time, it's very, something positive happened, you see. I mean, I walked away from a depression. I definitely walked away from a depression. Something was removed. Was it an actual demon? Was it real? Well, I believe in demons now, so I'd say that demons are real. Was that a demon? It certainly matches up to what I know about them now. A lot of Christians that I know would be very suspect that a non-Christian casting out demons. They'd be saying, that it would probably still be there, or there's something still there, or it's not been done properly. But I mean, I was free of my depression. I mean, I know I was free of my depression. I was a different person. My life took a different trajectory after that.
Right.
I was propelled and compelled to go to New York for no apparent reason. Shortly after that, I took the housing benefit money from us. I mean, in agreement, but my girlfriend was pregnant. I've taken the housing benefit money. I've got to go to New York. I mean, and she was up for it. I don't even now. I think this is what was I thinking? I went to New York for a month, not knowing why, thinking, maybe it's to become, maybe something's going to, maybe something's going to happen with my music again. It's always this thing about the music, but actually, I ended up being there for 3 months because although I didn't have much money, I got given through somebody else an apartment in the West. I was in the East Village for a month. Then I got given an apartment in the West Village, which at that time because this was just before 9/11, and it was looking over the Twin Towers. I could see, and I could see the Empire State. So you can imagine how cool that apartment was. It had a rooftop, like the classic streets of San Francisco, Dirty Harry kind of rooftop, the plants, sort of, that kind of apartment thing going on. So that was really cool. But what happened there for me, subsequently to what had already happened, so this is maybe about 2 or 3 months after this exorcism experience. I was wandering about in New York, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got into this. I'm still into meditation stuff. I'm still thinking about spiritually about stuff, and I've gone into this apartment, and Star Wars is on TV at the time, and I've just left it on, and I've thought to myself, well, I thought there's no reason that couldn't be real. It's just life as we know it, dressed up in different costumes. It's the same drama. There's nothing really about it that's particularly different from what we have here. It's the same. And I kind of got into this train of thought about God, and in the sense of a God at that time, which would have been an impersonal, cosmic kind of thing.
Yeah.
And started thinking about that. And I'd gone out of the house, walked up one of the streets, nobody about, and I was sort of going through these thoughts, and I just suddenly went into whiteness, pure bliss. I lost sense of time. I didn't know how I got back to the flat. I ended up back at the flat at some point later. I didn't know where I didn't know how I'd got back, and I'd felt like this whole at one with everything, feeling this kind of, I'd gone home, I'd been in God, And at that time I was very much into Kabbalah as well and all that stuff, so I thought I'd gone into like, you know, what was it, Kether or something like that. I thought I'd done something. And when it was just, I was in this white kind of thing. When I say white, I mean pure white light that was just everything and the origin of everything. It was that kind of feeling. And after that, I was like, what was that about? I mean, I was supercharged after that. I just radiated a kind of, you know, I'm where it's at kind of vibe. I was really sorted, at peace, everything else. I mean, this is post this healing thing as well, this exorcism thing. And when I came back, later on, my girlfriend had said to me, you know, when you came back from New York, she says, you look like a saint. And I think what she was saying is you were emanating, exuding something, you know, something had happened to you. But the thing that I would say in the course of all this, because I read the tarot cards, I was into all that, all sorts of stuff. I was into so many things. The problem that I was having with all of it is it never went anywhere. It never came to any conclusions. I mean, I had a lot of experiences. I mean, those are probably the key ones, but I had other things, you know. I mean, you're probably going to want to know about this one as well. But you know, I met a dead teacher. I was with a witness. He spoke to me for a bit, and he wandered off. I knew he was dead. The other guy saw him. Okay. That was bizarre.
Yeah.
That was like I don't know what that was. It didn't seem to it was bizarre. I was with a guy. You know, I was with a guy in a bus. I'd see a teacher at my college who we were all quite fond of. He was quite eccentric. Had died, and then I just started seeing him. I started seeing him on the bus and seeing him in my street, and I thought, well,
as a physical form.
Yeah, just walking down with a woman like his wife. Yeah. Walk and I thought, why is he up? You know, I knew that he came from somewhere miles away from that where I live. I thought, why? First of all, I was on a bus and he was on the bus in front of, and a few seats, and I was so awkward and didn't know what to make of it. I thought, well, if this means something, I thought, if I see him again, I've got to speak to him. And then I saw him again coming near my street with this woman, and I thought, what is going on here? Something bizarre. I thought, and I still didn't have the nerve to speak to him because it was so. I thought, is he really dead? What's going on? I thought. So later on, I was with the drummer from my band. We were walking through Edinburgh bus station, Waverley bus station, and there's this teacher. When he comes walking over, he didn't know me well. He taught me for a bit. He was just a general. He was kind of like, he was that sort of Mr. Chips, He was that kind of. Yes. He had that vibe about him. Yeah. So he kind of appears. He comes across. He walks over to me. He's slightly glazed looking, in this just a cream suit, and he says, I went, hiya, and I'm thinking, this is weird. It was a vibe. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. He went, hello there, and I went, how's things with you? He says, oh, it gets a bit quiet sometimes, but it's all right. It was all cryptic. It wasn't like he's... And my mates, kind of, the drummer's kind of looking at me and looking a bit confused. And I went, just to make conversation, I went, I'm still doing the music. And I said, I'm still doing the music. And he went, oh, you wait, Christmas, it'll all take off. Which was nothing like his personality. He was a very grounded... I think the last thing he'd spoke to me when he was alive was, oh, you should put family first. You know, he was very much that kind of guy. Yeah. And I went, oh, right, okay. And I said, oh, well, take care. I didn't want to shake his hand. And he said, and he just put his hands together like a prayer gesture and bowed his head, like bowing out, like a Buddhist or whatever, bowed his head and wandered off. And I went to my mate, that's the teacher. And he's going, I knew something was weird about it. There was something weird. I says, well, what? He says, I don't know. It was just weird. And I never got to the bottom of it. But it was one of the things, I had many things like that happen to me. They were so out there. But I kept feeling like, what's the point in them if they're not, none of them match up? What do they mean? What's going on? It's like, it's like some grand joke at my expense, some strange... You know, even like the exorcism and the going into the bliss and all that. it seemed to be so significant. But as time went on, everything just got normal again. Nothing. I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to be some, great teacher or some spiritual guru or that. Nah, none of that kind of stuff. It wasn't. I wasn't. It just didn't work out that way. It was like I was being fed to keep me in a certain kind of. It was like I was being fed to be in a way, and kept, but being kept in the dark at the same time. It was a strange thing. It was satisfying that I thought there's something beyond reality. There's something beyond what we think of as normal reality. I can see that. I can see. I've seen it from supernatural experience. I can even see it from a scientific basis. I can see it like in quantum fields and all that kind of stuff. You can see how there's grounds. But I thought, I just felt that why isn't there some coherent? If I'm getting this kind of significant stuff, why am I not getting a coherent? Why is it not tying together? Why is it not showing me anything? Why is it not explaining itself to me?
So did that lead you to look for?
Well, no. What happened coming up to the main event for me in my life was that I just gave up on it all. I think what happened was that the music, it was like looking at a graph going down and down and down and down and you go, this is just not happening. The music, you're not selling anything. There's no more emails. It's just not happening. And I had to be, and I actually got to that point where it's like, was it the 7 stages of grief? I'd kind of gone through them all, and I thought, I can accept this. The music's not happening. It's not really working out. And then also the spiritual thing. I thought, I'm not going to work out this side of death. What it's about, what it means. There's too much confusion. And what happened was that I at that time just started doing a lot of building work, stuff like that, and just normal life. And I'd never lived like that before, so I went into the. I was just a builder. I'm just sat there reading the sun in the front of a white van, eating a sandwich, feeling kind of well rested at the end. Feeling like I've done a good week's work at the end of the week, doing what people do. Not thinking about God, not thinking about spirituality, not thinking about music. And I felt so at peace. I was completely quite fine. In a way, I thought, this is it. This is the way I'm meant to be. I've been through all that, and I found some kind of contentment.
Were you still caning it at this point?
I was a lot more behaving like a responsible adult. I was much more kind of. The cane in it had really dried up after. I still drunk. I still had binges, times a period where I drink, but when I still got on my life. It never stopped me functioning in life. But I was more. To be honest, I was doing 6:30 starts, building work and that. It just kind of was getting me fit. I wasn't pushing it so much. Pretty put together. Had stopped smoking dopes for at least 15 years or something like that. But then begins the next thing that happened was that. Funny you say that, because I at some point I was living by this point. I'm married. I've got kids. None of them are, I'm the one that's getting to all the weird stuff. There's no spiritual thing around me with anybody else as far as that environment. Certainly no Christian or any of that stuff. I've never had any of that in my life. And although I've been interested in it as a writer, you have the complete works of Shakespeare, the King James Bible, that kind of thing. That's the kind of knowledgeable. So basically, I've thought to myself at some point, I thought, you know what, I do fancy a bit of a smoke, and I've thought I don't want to go and buy some gear. I just thought I fancy a puff, like when I've got nights off or that, and I've gone and got some This is before all stuff's come out in the newspaper and that. I've got one of those things like Spice or one of those things. Those legal highs things. And I've tried it at some point, and I mean, I'm thinking this stuff's blowing my head off. I mean, it was much stronger than anything. I mean, I lived in Amsterdam, so I know, and it was much stronger than anything I'd ever smoked before. I thought this is. I actually was still stoned the next day. I mean, it was that strong. It was useless actually, because you couldn't really function as a social evening thing or that. But I wasn't into doing it every night anyway. Just something I just had there sitting there. I thought it'd be nice if whatever, and so I've. As you probably know, like later, people die from it. People have heart attacks and all sorts of things, seizures and that. But that wasn't something that was. I thought I was erring on the safe side, So I had it and I tried it. I knew it was pretty strong, but I just didn't think much about it. Probably kind of arrogantly, because I think that I'm, invulnerable or something like that. Because of what I've done in the past. I felt so. Basically, some night. I've got up. I've been going to sleep, not sleeping, and I've got up and I've thought, I'll have a bit of that. I'll have a little doobie, and I've smoked it, and it started to come on, and it's come on, and it's come on, and it started to get really, really, really powerful. It's rising in me. I'm sort of sat back down in my bed, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is going some. This is like, higher than high, and it's not feeling great. I'm not a panicker by nature at all. So I'm thinking, right, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. I thought, I don't think I'm going to be sick, but I'm feeling something's going to happen. So what starts to happen is my heart starts to beat like a hammer. I mean, it's bursting out of my chest. It's just really going boom, 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 boom. I'm thinking, I think I could maybe go and have a heart attack. I don't know, because I've no experience. I've not had one, but I'm thinking to myself, this is heavy. I'm thinking, and it's getting worse and worse, and my whole body is starting to lose its sense. It's like if I touch my limb to limb, it's like dead rubber or something like that. I'm thinking, what is going on? And so I go to the shower, bathroom. My wife's not there at the moment of the time. My kid, there's nobody there, so I wouldn't want her to be there because she'd probably kill me anyway. So I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. So I go get the shower, I go to the tap, and I'm splashing cold water in my face, thinking, and it's just like, I know it's hitting my face, but I'm just not feeling it. And so I get into bed because I kind of feel like I'm going to pass out. And basically, what I started doing is I start kind of fluctuating between here and now and going into this blackness. But every time I go into the blackness, I'm still conscious. I'm conscious in the blackness, and then I'm back into normal consciousness. And I feel like if I sleep or I pass out, I'm going to kind of go there, whatever that is. I'm not greatly worried about that. I'm a little bit, but I don't know. It's not like normal, your eyes closed blackness. It's more like a kind of place. It's like I feel like, you might say, and I have to say this, because I know that people sometimes, especially if you're into a lot of alternative stuff or new age stuff, you kind of have that sense that, there's some people that are more susceptible to out of body stuff. Well, I'm not actually. Even though I've had these experiences, they've been very black and white with me. They've been very kind of. I'm not much of a daydreamer. I'm not much of an imaginative person or that. When things happen to me, they just happen, So I'm in this place, and I'm thinking, I've never, what's going on here? And I thought, I'm just going to have to go with it, because I don't feel like sleeping, but I can't quite keep my eyes open, and I don't know what's going on. I didn't feel good at all, but I was determined that I thought, I'm going to get through to the morning. I'll get through tomorrow, and it'll be all right. But as I felt like I was receding out of my body, in a sense, from my senses. You might say into my spirit man, into my soul, or whatever you want to call it. I was going into the seat of my consciousness, but I wasn't feeling the body anymore. And as I finally let that go, I was in black. I was in this black, and it was like a place. I couldn't have any sense of my body, but I knew I was there.
Scary.
Well, it was scary. It's funny because I've seen stuff since then of people's testimonies, and I've done this, I've been to hell, I've done all these things. Mine added up to some of theirs, but the only difference was at no point was there anything else there. The blackness was everything, but it had an intelligence, and anything you needed to know about it, you immediately knew. You just knew. First thing that struck me as I was there was I was in eternity. I knew I was in eternity because I could tell that time wasn't there. And when you take time away, you know it's not there anymore. Time is. I can see why time is a part of matter, or whatever you want to call it. I can see because when you take it away and you're in eternity, you feel the lack. You know what I mean? I felt that. I thought I'm in eternity. I thought, as in, this is forever. And I felt as well. I thought, wherever I'm at, I thought if I stayed here, I got a very strong sense of you're never going to reach the world again. You're never going to reach anyone. Never going to reach. There's no way of getting to them. There's no way of telling them where you are. No way of reaching out. I felt it was on the other side of a door, and there was no getting out of it. Right. If I was going to stay there, but I had this perhaps overly optimistic notion that I wasn't going to stay there. So this blackness was thick. It was in everything. It was in me. It was black, and I just went through a series of notions. I went, this is death. This is the absolute absence of life. I understood that life was a kind of principle that sort of informed everything, and that this is where it was not. But existence could still go on without it, and that was a bit of a shock. Then I went, this is hell. Then I went, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This is the thoughts. This is exact thoughts. And then I said, I wouldn't wish it on Adolf Hitler. And I think now, I thought, why Adolf Hitler? What a cliche. Why would I think that? If you watch testimonies of people, these kind of testimonies, they often say the same thing. They go, I wouldn't wish it on a worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it on Adolf Hitler. I don't know why they say him. I know he's an archetype of the bad man, but I think also there's something, especially from a Christian perspective, there's something about understanding actually that as much as you can demonize certain people, given absolutes, they're still human. They're still human, and that's what I was kind of getting. And so I'm in this place. I wouldn't wish this on Adolf Hitler. And then I went, there is a God, and I knew there was a God because this place was screaming out that he wasn't there. It was like it was what you have when you take God away. I knew that the place I was in was what's left outside of God.
So you came to God through God's absence.
Yeah, it was. I knew, but the thing about it was, I knew he was the God in the Bible. I don't know why. I went, it's God, and it's the God in the Bible. I thought to myself, and it's the one in the Bible. That was what I knew, and I've thought to myself since then, how could just black, tell me so many specific? I can get some of the more, time and space sort of things, eternity, but the God in the Bible, that it. So anyway, I did think to myself, whoa, this is the other thing I must say. What I realised, and was being told in some way, was that everything I'd done, everything I'd been through, all my experiences, all the tough times I'd been through, all the things I'd learned, the bullying, the depression, the struggles, the ups and downs, all the meditation, all the reading, everything that I'd kind of felt had given me character, that had sort of been the making of me, had no value. It was this place was saying it has no value. Nothing you've done adds up to anything. It was concrete. It was like you've achieved nothing. Nobody said it, I just knew it, and I felt that this was my lot. This was my lot. This place. This place was the fruit of everything I'd been. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And I thought, if I get out of this place, I've really got to change my life around or something, you know. But I wasn't completely thinking at the time, I've got to sort myself out with God or that. I woke up the next morning, and I was all right. I was in kind of shock. I was traumatized a bit, but I was still, having been someone that's done lots of trips and all that kind of stuff, I kind of, you know, had a way of rationalising it and thinking, well, but it did shake me up. Subsequently to that, I looked up a few things. I went near-death experiences and all that, and I seen one or two that had a similar kind of thing going on to mine.
Was it a near-death experience? Is that?
I think it was, yeah. Okay. I would look at it as a near-death experience. I don't know whether I nearly. What I would say is that I think that people that have near-death experiences, as much as a lot of them say that they're clinically dead, and they say that, you know, it's on record and all that kind of thing, but there's something happening spiritually where you're still hovering between death and life. You're seeing more than you would normally see, and I think that I was divorced enough from my senses that I seen something. I think it was a vision, but I think it was a reality. I think that as much as you can say that spiritual things are very, very different from earthly things, that I can say this is a house, it's got windows, and we're in Lewis. I can say that, you know, but what it was a reality. There was truth in what I saw. Someone else might see it differently because it's spiritual, but the truth of it was concrete to me, if you know what I mean. So the point is that it was a vision. It was whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't base my testimony on the fact that I'm trying to prove that I died and I saw death. I would never do that.
No.
I would just say this is what happened to me. The point is that subsequently to that, looked a few things up, and I thought to myself, I had this notion that if I got baptised, because I was never christened as I was a kid, I thought that would sort it all out. That's what I just thought. I just thought that'll sort it all out, because I've heard something like that, and that's what I think. That's what Jesus done. That's about it. I just thought, you know, go and get baptised. So, very simply, very naively, I went to I got in touch with the Baptist church because I got baptism, yeah. and so I went and met a guy there, pastor there, and I told him what happened, and he says baptism. He says is after you've become a Christian, it's a declaration. It's like it's something that happens as part of a process. He says you don't just get baptised. That's not the way it works. I went, all right, and he says, "Are you interested in becoming a Christian?" I'm suddenly thinking he's talking about me becoming a Christian. I'm thinking, me, a Christian? I'm thinking that I think that's not on the agenda at all. I thought I'm not the right type for that. I was kind of like, you know, it's just not cool. You know what I mean? It's not cool. So
you don't need sandals.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I'm thinking. And he's very casual about it. He's very easy with me. And I said, let me just think about it. He wanted to pray with me. I said, that's fine, pray with me. I thought nothing happened. I thought, no, this is, you know, I didn't feel anything. Didn't think anything was different. I thought, I'm not really, you know, this is just, I thought this is probably not where it's at. But he's a nice guy and everything. He says, well, come to church on Sunday, see what you think of it. Church on Sunday? I said, well, that'll be different. So still haven't told anybody in my life that any of this is going on. But there's this thing going on inside of me all of a sudden. As soon as after I've gone to him, this feeling that something's moving, something's churning up, something deep is moving around. I cannot put my finger on it. But I'm starting to think, maybe I should, you know, try and confess my sins or something. I'm just thinking of things. Maybe I should try. Quite happy to do that. I've got no issue with that at all. I'm sort of just forgive me for the time I've done this and the time I've done that and this and that. I'm going through a list of things and thinking, don't feel any different. Or go to the church on the Sunday. I thought, I can't do this. You know, smiley people, nice kind of conservative dress, and I'm just thinking, this is not happening. I thought, God bless them, but they're not. I'm not this kind of person. This isn't me at all. So basically, I'm kind of perplexed. I'm praying. I'm thinking about. I'm reading bits of the Bible. Certain stuff starting to kind of leap out to me. It's getting a bit of a grip of me. Some of the things I'm reading, and I'm praying, but I haven't been someone that's had such experiences. I think it's going to have to be a humdinger to make me really go the whole way with this. I'm going to have something happen to me that's so out of the box, because I've already had spiritual experiences and they were like pretty major. So basically, what happens is on the middle of the week or something, I've got this. I think maybe it was 2 weeks had gone. I'm going through this up and down feeling, not sure what's going on, feeling that something had upset things in myself again. I wasn't at peace anymore. I wasn't really with it. I didn't really know what it was. I wasn't sure what was going on. Middle of the week, I'm in my like a studio room with my computer gear. Nobody in the house. Early afternoon. And I'm just sort of thinking about these kind of thoughts. Oh, it's funny, I wonder what that's about, Christianity and what, I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, this and that about what's been going on. There's no prompt, no warning, no kind of profound thought or anything. I'm thrown from my chair about 8 feet right across to the other side of the room, flat on my face, and I just feel this unbelievably powerful presence. Almost you'd imagine if you were to drape a sheet over somebody's head in the classic ghost shape, almost a triangular, the sense that it's there, but it's invisible. I can't see anything. I'm on my face, and I know without any shadow of a doubt that it's God, and it's Jesus, and it's the reality of Jesus. It's piling onto me, and I am instantly wailing and bawling and wailing. It doesn't say anything. It's just pouring down into me. It's the holiness, in its presence. I just know what I am. I know a wretch like me. It says in the song. I know I'm wretched, and I know how holy and absolute and it's God. It's not saying anything. And I'm just this crying, it's like coming out of me. And without any words said, but a little bit like the darkness actually, I know that above everything that's gone on in my life, it wasn't there, it was dealing with me in some way, I don't know how. It wasn't interested in the minutiae of that time you've done this and you've done this and you've done that, or who you've been. It was always interested in is, you know who Christ is, and you've not believed on him, and that was the sin. That was it. You've seen him as a kid or something. You've watched a film. You thought he's pretty cool. I like what he's about, and it was effectively saying to me. It didn't say that, but it's effectively directing me towards the fact that you've loved him, and you've gone your own way. And I knew it was true. I don't know how I knew it. And I was wailing, and I felt such remorse, like I'd killed somebody or something. In fact, that's a very good description. I felt total remorse, and I was going, I'm so sorry that I abandoned you, and I turned my back on you, and it was, I got the whole package there and then of the sense of, Jesus Christ died for you, he's your saviour, he is God, everything. It was like, it was coming down on me. I'm wailing for about, say, 25 minutes. This is going on. I don't know what it's doing, but it's dealing with me somehow. And then it starts to kind of retreat. The presence sort of withdraws, and I start kind of, when you've been crying so much, you almost start laughing like, this is ridiculous, So I'm kind of crying, but I'm kind of laughing, and I'm kind of saying to myself, what's going on? What? I know it's happened, and I'm kind of going, whoa, what about it? And funnily enough, humans are so pathetic, I kind of just thinking, wait till I tell my mates what just happened to me, because it's just, this is what's going on. Even though I've had this whole massive thing going, and I'm kind of snivelling and getting myself together, and then I hear, cut across my thoughts, the words, Christ comes as a king, clothed in glory. How shall he lead you that you are not clothed in righteousness? And I went, what does that mean? I'm thinking, God, I've got a pen. Wait, what does that mean? I'm thinking, what? And I'm thinking, sounds like I've done something wrong, or that's not it, or it's not finished yet, or something. I'm thinking, well, that was pretty major. I mean, I know it's hard to put across, but that feeling of that presence feeling trumped everything else I'd ever experienced. It was way beyond everything. It was the sense of his godness, the godnessness of God, is so sweet but fearful and all these things at once. But I'm thinking, I've not done something. Christ comes as a king, clothed in glory. How shall he lead you that you are not clothed or dressed in righteousness? I went, I don't even know what that means. I'm thinking, this isn't fair. I'm thinking, you can't do this to me in riddles. I'm thinking, what is going on? So I thought, what's repentance? I'm thinking, what's repentance? I know that word. I don't know what it means. It's coming to my head after. So I'm sitting there, get the computer out, repentance. And it says, in basics, turning away from the old life, sin, everything else you've been, and turning towards Jesus, towards God, as in directing yourself. It's the conscious, willful act of going, I'm going your way now. And I'm thinking, oh, right. I'm thinking, is that what he wants me to do? Is that part of it? I've not committed myself to him. He's dealt with me, but I've not made the commitment or something. Well, I'm definitely up for the commitment now, because I've just had my mind blown and I'm just thinking, this is, So, you talk about maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon by this point. I walk down to the seafront, because I live near the sea in Brighton, and there's nobody about. It's September at this point, kind of blustery, big waves. I can make a bit of noise, and I just shout out to sea, you can have me, you can have my whole life, you can have everything, you can do what you want with me, you can take me, you can use me, take my music off me, take anything you want, you can have the whole of me. I just completely make a commitment. And yet again, I'm waiting for where's the biggie, where's the main event, what's going to happen now? And nothing particularly happens at that point. So I think to myself as I'm walking up the beach, what did I do the right thing? And just that's the thought I thought, did I do the right thing? Is that it? So I came into the house, standing in the kitchen, looking out the window, got a cup of coffee, and door goes. I think, oh, who's that? It turns out it's my son. I'd forgotten. He's getting dropped off from school. He's 7 years old. I let him in. I'm in a bit of a daze. I go, all right, son, how you doing? And he says, all right. All he does, fixated with Batman, Spider-Man, so he draws them. So he took out his pencils and stuff, gets his sheets of paper, starts to draw Batman. That's all he's ever done. First word he said was Batman. Wasn't Dad, it was Batman. He is fixated with that stuff. So he's doing that. I've gone back through, sitting with my cup of coffee, looking out the window. 5 or so minutes later, maybe shorter than that, actually. Tugging on my sleeve. It's my son. That's for you. He's done me a drawing. And I go, all right. And I lift it. And I'm completely, absolutely, I don't know, I say to people, my intelligence was offended. I was so shocked at what he'd given me. And it was basically a drawing of Jesus with a crown and angel wings floating in the sky. It had a little hill underneath it with a little cross and a little man on it. So underneath it said Mr. Christ. It said Mr. Christ. And it had a speech bubble coming out of his mouth, Jesus' mouth, saying, my son, you done the right thing.
That's a bit freaky, isn't it?
A bit freaky. I went, my son, you done the right thing. And I go, why did you give me this? I'm trying to, it's hard to explain what Western man, how we are. When something defies explanation to that extent, my reaction wasn't like, hallelujah. It was more like, right, let's get to the bottom of this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went, what? Why did you do that? He went, I don't know. And he just walked back again, straight back to Batman and all that. And when I subsequently talked to him about it later on, nearer to the time, yeah, I drew you that picture, didn't I? Drew you that picture. He doesn't really know it now. He doesn't, he's got no real recollection of it at all. But of course I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, my son, you've done the right thing. I'm thinking, this is outrageous. I've never known anything like this. So that was enough confirmation for me. You know, that was me. I thought, well, I'm a Christian. This is it. You know.
So, as a Christian, what's changed? I mean, that's
the transformation.
That's the process.
Yeah, that's the process.
How are you different now to you were before?
Well, so I'd say that God goes to work. You know, when you become a Christian, he kind of goes to work. You don't notice it at first, but you feel different. You feel, especially because, well, when I went to church subsequently the next Sunday after this had happened, and when I went in, I mean, everyone just looked radiant to me. I could see that they were like me. I could see there was something going on. I saw it. I felt. I don't see that now so much, but I did. I was aware. Oh, I've joined this kind of family thing or something. There was something going on.
Is this the Baptist church?
This was a Baptist church, yeah. And what's happened to me? There's been a sort of steady transforming of well, they say the fruit, they say the fruits of, what do they say? I can't remember what the word is. The fruits of righteousness, it's joy, peace, long suffering, patience, kindness. These things kind of start to come out. You start to become more tolerant, more accepting things, that whatever your issues are. And I just noticed that I've just in the sense of how it's changed me. Some people would say, "Oh, you're not any different." Some people don't notice anything. Some people think, "Oh, you're so peaceful to be around. You're this, you're that." And in myself, the key thing is relationship with God, relationship with Jesus. That is something I'm aware of, because subsequently to that, I have had more experiences. I mean, these things, that wasn't a one-shot deal. It keeps happening to me every now and then. Something comes up, some kind of encounter, something that. The difference is it's not confused. It makes sense from the last thing. It's going in a certain direction. It adds up. It's not like, I don't know what that means and I don't know what that means. As far as in me, I think there's just a shedding. There's a shedding of things that goes on. I mean, I just didn't care about my music anymore after. I know I'd said that I'd kind of given up on it, but it really was like, you can take it away forever. Which is strange, because it was really my love of my life, passion of my life, the music. I do actually now, I actually do a bit, and I do a bit in church, and I do sing, and I enjoy it. But it's not like a kind of, I suppose we'd say it isn't an idol anymore. It's not something that I kind of...
You're not using it to fill that hole anymore.
No, I just do it when it comes up. Sometimes say, "Do you want to lead worship tonight?" And I go, "Yeah, that'll be nice." That's about it. Or I'll maybe write a song. But
so, do you still go to the Baptists?
Yeah, I go every Sunday, to Holland Road in Brighton.
Can I ask you a couple of things
yes.
trouble me
yes.
about Christianity?
Oh, is it the big questions?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I know you're not a spokesman, so I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of anybody, but just interested in your take. Because what you've talked about, you've obviously been through some really profound experiences. And I suppose the bit that interests me for the first kind of thing I'm thinking about is where you said you knew it was the God in the Bible. And my first thought there was, what if you'd never heard of the Bible? You wouldn't have that reference point. So what I'm wondering really is what your take is, given that we live in a world where people are killing each other over religious ideas every day, what your take is on your God versus all the other gods.
Well, and the first thing that strikes me is that if God is real, or if my God is real, put it that way, he can reveal himself to whoever he wants. I mean, that's something he can do. He doesn't have to necessarily have a framework for it. That's just, do you know what I'm saying? He can reveal himself. Somewhere else might die, and they might. I mean, I'm not saying that's out of the question. As far as the thing is, all the things I was into before didn't have this issue. there was no contention in them. I could do the tarot cards and study the occult at home, and it didn't seem to bother anybody. But Christianity, because it is a sort of, it's one of the monotheistic religions. It's completely uncompromising. In fact, as a Christian, when you start to compromise, you notice that your walk goes swiftly downhill. It only really works as as a kind of uncompromised kind of walk. That's the only way that the spiritual, the benefits of the experience really are felt, the growth. And so it's contentious. It's been contentious from the word go. At first, I'll be honest with you, I said, why does it have to be this? All my life I'd been looking for why you didn't die, and essentially that childlike thing, I don't want to die, I hope there's something else. Yeah. For the first time ever after I got saved, I thought, I'd rather you just died and there was nothing else. And I'll tell Christians that, they're quite shocked because a lot of them have I wouldn't say that from the moment of my salvation, I was like such a happy guy. I was full of an incredible, profound fear of God. Mm. Of God, of judgment, of all sorts of stuff that went on for a good year or so. That's a little bit unusual for a lot of Christians. I'm seen as a bit extreme in that sense, but that's the revelation that I've been given. That's the way it's gone with me. And I thought, at first I thought, I'd rather you just died now. I'd rather just that was it. It's not me. And so in a slightly evasive and roundabout way of answering your question, because I don't have the answers for these things, I would say that it is contentious. It's difficult. It loses friends. It breaks up homes. It's not all. It's a God. There's a message of reconciliation in it, which is reconciliation to God. Mm. But at the same time, it has a very divisive effect on people.
Do you think the God that Muslims worship is your God?
No. No.
So what do you think's going on there?
What do I think's going on? In what respect? There's a lot of things. You see, if you said to a Muslim, "Can you have a personal relationship with God?" they'd say, "No, that's blasphemy." Mm. That isn't part of Muslim faith. That is not. So right away that's a dramatic difference. What I'm saying is that you don't get hot water. I go up tonight. I go up every Saturday tonight. I go up Saturday. I have done since the beginning of the year. I go and pray with 3 other guys in a church. For a couple of hours every Saturday. I've been doing it now for for about 8 months. From the word go, I felt called to do it. We've done it. From the word go, God has been there. He's been there. His presence is there, and he's been dealing with us every single week. He turns up. Even for Christians, that's kind of like, they know what it's like to experience the presence of God. They know what it's like when he turns up. But for him to turn up every week. Now, that is very specific to what I believe. So it can't be the same God, because their God doesn't behave in the same way. Is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. The God of my God turns up for personal. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like patting him on the back and saying hello. It's the same presence in the sense that it's invisible, but it's clearly there because we're flat on our faces. We can't move a lot of the time. The power is unbelievable, and there's revelation. There's deep working. There's a moving deeper into him. That is not part of what you. Oh, that's particular to my experience. So whatever my God is, it can't be the same as other people's gods because it's particular to what experience with him is. Mm. So let me say that as a diplomatic way of kind of. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'd put it more in that way. I don't see why the same God would behave completely distant and more like I'm away up here and you're away down there, and we won't meet until you've done your time on earth, and then we'll weigh up whether you've been good enough. So that's not Christianity. Christianity is you can never be good enough. That's the whole point. The whole point is that, you you cannot achieve the perfection that God demands. So he sacrifices himself through his son to achieve, who has achieved that perfection, that you can pay the price. Except it's a very particular belief. For me, coming from that background, I needed experience. I needed spiritual experience. I needed something, like I say, I needed something to happen that gave me answers and actually demonstrated beyond the normal. It had to be something that came from beyond the normal sense of reality, and it does that. And I think that surprises people as well. Some people, because obviously you got your typical Church of England or something like that, and you think it's a bit dry. It's like reading bits of the Bible. You don't expect something's going to happen or anything miraculous going to happen. So for me to experience that there are a lot of that going on, I needed to have that, or else I wouldn't have been in it.
That's really interesting. Do you think, from the way you've put it seems like the Baptist church you went to was pretty much a semantic accident?
Yeah.
But you've stayed with the Baptist church, as opposed to the various other types of Christian churches.
Yeah.
Is that have you kind of adopted the beliefs of a Baptist specifically?
I know that they have got their particular way of doing things. It's pretty kind of fairly laid back, I'd say, in a certain way. There's no sense of dress, or it's very classless. It's very what in a roundabout way I would say in myself is that I don't really believe in I think the divisions are things that just come in the same way as humans do this. They tend to go off in factions, traditions, and all that kind of thing. But the basic truth that I'm trying to live up to follow is what was going on right after Christ died. When the church was born, that basic, whatever that was, which was, which is very challenging, like they just threw everything they had, whether they were rich or poor, they just threw it in a big pot and distributed it to whoever needed it at the time, for example. And the spiritual practice and spiritual giftings was much more, was everywhere, it's prevalent. There's a lot of Christians that don't even believe that goes on anymore. I mean, I do, because I've seen it plenty of it, but a lot of Christians would say, it doesn't happen anymore. So I tend to just think, biblically, the church is the body of believers. That's what it is. It's not a building. It never has been. It never will be. We call it church because you get to know the local people there, and that's who become your friends. That's who you fellowship with. That's who you grow with. But in reality, it's the church is the body of believers. And so, like, the idea of Methodist or Presbyterian or whatever, that's not really interest to me. It's something that I've got to know. I've become friendly with a pastor that's quite a very traditional, from a different church, and he's really kind of taught me about the ins and outs of what it is to do his job, what it is to be a pastor. I mean, and a lot of like visiting the elderly, a lot of visiting the sick and dying, preparing his sermons for every week, and tending to his flock and all that. So for some, I don't know why, but I think I've been I feel like the Lord is encouraging me to learn about that side of things, but I am very much like I want it straight from the source. I want God. If I do something, I want God to tell me to do it. I don't want to a certain extent. I observe authorities and people that are in place for certain reasons and all that kind of thing. But He's got the ultimate authority. If He tells me to go, I go. If He tells me to stop, I stop. And as long as I keep it like that way, I don't get tradition and getting in the way and sort of watering it down. Or
okay, that sounds like an opposite moment to. Yeah, do you know what? I'm knackered with all those.
I bet you are.
That's a big story to take in.
Yeah.
So So I think possibly that would be a good place to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate that, and that's absolutely fascinating, and I hope everybody finds it as fascinating as I did.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, God.
Cheers.